Howdy guys, it's your boy Courtney Scott, the cowboy marketer, the owner of Alpha Media, and currently right now we're managing $700,000 in monthly ad spend for real estate investors. We have done over $78 million in real estate transaction fees in the last 3 years. Before I hopped into helping real estate investors, I have helped e-com businesses. I've managed over $40 million in ad spend. You put them together, it's somewhere of $52, $53 million in ad spend over my career. I've been in business for 7 years. I have helped e-com, consulting, coaches, home services, down to gyms. I've helped any and everybody in every industry. And what I've noticed is that some people need help with their landing pages. Because if you can get your conversion rate better on your landing page, you get more leads. So let's say, for instance, let's say if you guys were, your website was converting at 5%. I know you guys is probably not converting at 5%, but some people actually do. Like I said, I have put together over 1,000 landing pages. So I know some people do convert at 5%. And you're spending, let's say $100 a day in ad spend. And you converting at 5%. And let's say they're bringing you 100 people to your website. You got a cost per link click of $1, so that's bringing 100 people to your website, and then 5% of them convert, so you have 5 people that actually converts, right? That converts into leads. But what if you can get that to 10% or 15%? So if you got it to 10% without increasing your ad spend, you kept your ad spend exactly the same, but you got your conversion rate on your website to 10%. What happens then is now you get 10 leads. And then if you get it to 15%, now you get 15 leads. That's a day. It may not seem like a lot to you, but those percentages matter at scale. So let's say if you're spending $1,000 and you get 1,000 people onto your website, now you're not only getting 50 people to convert, now you're getting 100 people to convert, or now you're getting, 150 people to convert into leads. And especially if you're like, man, dude, I'm not getting that many appointments, but I am running ads and I can't scale this thing up because I'm getting such a low return. Fix your website. See what you're converting at. And these are some tips that I'm gonna give you guys that you can actually implement. These are some tips I'm gonna give you guys that you can implement to help you grow this thing up. My iPad is gonna die, so I'm trying to make this quick as possible, but I wanna make sure I do not skip on the value that you guys can get from this video. So the first thing that I notice on a lot of people's websites is friction. So what is friction? So if my clients come to me and say, hey, Courtney, I want better quality leads. Okay, what does that mean? Because if I like, hey man, these guys are not as qualified. Okay, what do you mean they're not as qualified? They don't have, we should add a money criteria on the landing page. We should add more questions. The more questions you add, the higher, the more lead cost it's gonna be. So we went from asking only 3 questions, having the cost per lead of $15 to now asking 20 questions and getting $150 cost per lead. Yes, the lead is higher quality, which is what my clients want for, so it was a smart decision to make. But what if you had a great sales team? We have one client, for instance, his cost per lead is still $20 right now, but he's like, I don't need all those questions because they don't matter. Just get me on the phone with someone that owns a home. Whereas in some guys like, hey, I want to specialize my time to talking to these high qualified people. That's the only thing I care about. Whichever boat, whatever floats your boat. So friction. So if you mind the friction. So let's say if you're asking too many questions, maybe you're like, hey, let's take all these questions off. Let's ask the most important ones. Let's say if you're asking 20 questions and you're like, one is a money qualifier, one is a, hey, I want to make sure you know that you're actually booking a call. Another one is, hey, I want to make sure you're actually making money and you have the money to invest. Those are 2 separate questions, or you can kind of put them into both. Because I can ask you, hey, what are your marketing budget? And you say, hey, my marketing budget is $10K a month. Or I can ask you, okay, how much revenue you guys are doing? And I say, hey, I'm doing $100K a month. So let's say if I'm doing $100K a month, do I really need to ask and see what their marketing budget is? Probably so. If you feel like you should, do it. But this add more friction. Probably by you adding this question will literally be equivalent of saying, hey, that's just dropped your conversion rate by 2%, by 3%. By you asking more questions, that's what happened, but I would track it and see. So it's like friction, the less friction, the more leads, but the less qualified the leads are. And if you got a great sales team, guess what happened? The more deals you close and the bigger your returns is gonna be. And that's all dependent on how much friction you're gonna actually add to your funnel. All right, so that's number one thing I would do. And also I go to a lot of websites. Reason being, I'm a marketer. I think marketers, I literally go to Instagram, I go to Facebook to see what everybody else is doing. And I see something cool, I'll be like, hey, how can I actually steal this? Because good artists copy, great artists steal. So how can I steal this and make it way better for my industry? So I come to a lot of people's websites, and you have to identify your audience. You have to know who you're talking to. Because if you got a big VSL here and you want to talk to people that are doing $100K a month, they don't want to watch a VSL. I do not want to watch a 30-minute VSL. The only thing I care about is how you can help me. How can you actually help me scale this thing up? Because that's my biggest concern. So this guy probably wouldn't actually watch that VSL, so it was just there for nothing. Or he may be like, hey, if you make it mandatory that he has to watch the VSL, he's probably not going to actually book the call with you because no one want to actually spend 30 minutes watching the VSL. But you're trying to get him sold. So you can switch it to a presentation and let them actually click at it on their own pace and read it at their own pace. He don't want to watch all that. He want to see just, okay, what type of results it is. And then guess what? He goes to the next page. We've made this change right here. I kid you not. Our VSL was 15 minutes, not even 30 minutes. So it was a 15-minute VSL, converting at 10%. We put a presentation, let them do it at their own pace. You know, a Canva, it was on Canva. Now it's converting at 25%. Guys, literally, I more than doubled my lead flow. Same ad spend, just doubled my lead flow by making that simple change. Now, guess what? By me doing this presentation, whenever I want to just change my offer, I don't have to go and reshoot a VSL. Guess what I do? Just change the presentation, and that is it. So that's one thing. So, or it's like, let's say people have these long sales letters, man. Like they be like, and I'm like, okay, still going, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. You have to identify. If I'm selling a book, okay, it'd probably be smart to have on a sales letter. If I'm selling a book, it's smart to have a sales letter, because guess what? I'm interested in reading. But if I'm trying to target somebody that's probably a busy guy, probably like, hey, I'm not finna have him go through a 30-minute VSL. I'm not finna have him read a 10-minute read to actually see if he qualified. No, I'm gonna make it super easy for him. How can I make the process simple and I just make the qualifying questions harder? But it's down to you guys A/B testing and seeing what strategy you're gonna implement. But you have to know who you're targeting. If I'm targeting people that want to buy a book, read the sales letter about the book. Because you'll probably read the forward of a book. You're gonna read, the conclusion of the book. You're gonna read all of these things of the book, so you might as well read the sales letter of the book, right? When that makes sense. And also what I noticed is a lot of people don't have enough CTAs. What's CTA? If you don't know CTAs, you probably shouldn't be watching this video. But in case you don't, it's called call to action. So it's like basically, I see some people, let's go back to the VSL. VSL here, call to action here, testimonials here, about me here, who is this for here, and who is this not for here. This is the only call to actions on the website. And I'm like, man, so if I went through all your stuff and I saw your testimonials and I went down to see who is this for, who is this not for, and how does it work? I saw all of these different paragraphs and I gotta scroll all the way back up to the top to actually click the call to action. What about after the testimonials? You put another call to action. After the who's this for? Okay, if this is for you, click a call to action. All right, and then at the end of it, you wanna probably put another call to action, because if I'm scrolling down the page and if I'm very interested, if I made it all the way to the bottom, just make it super easier to say, hey, book a call now. And actually, boom, they click on the link and they book a call. They don't have to scroll back up. That may increase it to 2%. But these little incremental changes, so let's say you switch from the VSL to the presentation, increase it by, let's say that you don't get the 15% like I did, but you get an extra 5% increase. Well, let's say a 2% increase. Then you're going to add more call to action. Then you get another 2% increase. And then let's say, let's just say you add a call to action. You add more call to action, you get 2%, and you add you switch from a VSL to a presentation, you get another 3%. So now you increase about 5%. So you were doing 10% converting, now you have 15% converting. And you're spending, let's say you're getting 10,000 people onto your website instead of 1,000 people converting. Now guess what you have? You're right, you guessed it, you're good at math, so great job. Now you have 15,000 people that's actually converting. And let's say you sold them for $1, it'd be $15,000. That'd be $1,500, and then you got $1,000. But let's say you spending that a day. Over the course of a month, you spent 300 grand. You spent 300 grand. So then you're times this. And you'll see like, okay, so now we're getting 10,000 people on the websites. And what is, what we went from 10%, what is 15% of 300 grand? I don't know the fucking math. I could do it now for you guys. Okay, so if they're spending, they're getting 300,000 people onto their website, right? And we want to get 15% of those people to convert. If they're getting 10,000 people on their website per day, over the course of a month, they get 300,000 visitors onto their website. They convert that 10%, they get 30,000 people that actually wants to click and go to the next page. If that's purchases or if that's booking a call or whatever the case may be, we get just a 10%. That's what, hey, Courtney, man, dude, we're stuck at, 30,000 people actually making purchases on our website. Okay, what if we make it 45,000? You got an extra 1,500 leads. You got an extra 1,500 purchases by you actually making a couple changes onto your website. And that's how I make, and you probably would not make big erratic changes to your website. Like, hey, like I did. I just changed from a VSL and I put a presentation. I did a 15% increase. But if you guys are already spending, you get 300,000 people onto your website, you're spending a lot. So you probably won't get those big returns. But 2% at scale is a lot. 10% at scale is a fucking fuck ton, and it can change your business around and help your EBITDA for sure. So I hope that made sense. Well, and the last thing you guys need to, man, because I read copy. Like a lot of things I do is I go to people's websites, their landing pages, and I go and read copy and see if am I sold. I look at like, am I sold, or what can I change to make me be more sold? And I see a lot of people, they don't have really good headlines. So your headlines, then terrible sub headlines. So in the headlines, they're not calling out what the big problem is. Say, hey, what problem are you here to solve? You definitely want to put this on there. If I want to help people retire in their 30s, they retire by your 30s using the system. And then at the bottom of the sub headline, line, you kind of want to reference back to that point of how, and then you can go and say, hey, retire by your 30s using this system as little as in as little as in 1 year, you have enough savings to be a millionaire, or whatever the case may be. Probably don't want to make exaggerated claims. You guys can see something around that, but those are along the lines. That's how you can get your website to convert more, because we got bold headlines calling out exactly what problem we're actually, that you come to this website, calling out exactly what problems that you came to this website to solve, and headlines kind of backing up that problem that you're trying to solve. That's really important. And also, next thing, when you're writing your copy, you want to write the copy based off of with their level of communication right then and there. So we see a lot of guys, if let's say my offer was wealth management, and in the wealth management, guess what you try to do? You go and say, hey, yeah, like instead of us, you got to dumb it down. So I'm not going to use big words in my ad copy on my website, because I'm not talking to the people that are like, hey, as you develop, as you grow, you learn more. But then you start talking to people like they're at your stage. But if you're a coach or a consultant and you want to help someone get to your stage, you have to talk to them about the stage they are now and they're at now. And guess what? The best part about it, if you're actually a coach or a consultant, if you're good at anything, if you're good at what you sell, you probably was in that position before. So you know you can help. So it's like, what would have made me want to actually buy from me at this point? And you'll get the answer. And then you say, hey, what verbiage would have made me want to buy at this point? Then you go and add that verbiage, not the verbiage I know 10 years later of me actually doing everything and not using these big finance words. I'm gonna use something small, like, hey, you want to free up your finances so you be able to retire by your 30? Whatever the case may be. Hey, are you 18 years old, or are you in your 20s and you want to be able to retire by 40? You tired of working your ass off and not getting anywhere? I'm gonna show you how to manage your money and create great wealth, so by the time you're 40, you can actually sit back and retire and do what you want and chase your purpose in life. That'll make me more intrigued than saying, and instead of me going to say, we're gonna help you make a 10% return, instead of me saying, well, we're gonna help you make a 10% return on your money every year if you're over 30 years old to help you retire. That doesn't sound that appealing to me. What sounds appealing to me is you calling out me specifically and telling me exactly what I'm facing, what I'm struggling with, because you have been there before, and you basically coming up with a solution for me. That's what'll help me. Guys, and if you implement all of these, if your copy is based off where that person's at right now, you dumbed it down so they can understand it, and you made it compelling, and your headlines are good, and your CTAs are great, and you switching up the presentation, and you understanding the user experience, guess what happens? All these can be 2% increases in conversions. And you do 5 things, it's a 10% increase. If you was getting that 5% that I talked about earlier, guess what happened now? You get 15%. That's 3 times the lead flow, 3 times the sales. And now guess what happens? You kept ad spend the same, you filled up the sales calendar, you filled up the sales guy's calendar, or you filled up your bank account, but both happen in return. So what happens? You 3 times your lead flow. Guess what that means? You 3 times your revenue that's coming in. And it's just that simple, just by you making a couple of tweaks and a couple of changes. So guys, if you found this video valuable, you're gonna implement some of these tips, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Like, share this with a buddy of yours, because I know you guys are entrepreneurs and you know more entrepreneurs, and you want your buddy to make money, you will actually share this with your buddy. Don't actually watch this and sit there and be like, okay, I know how to make more money, but I'm not gonna share it with my friend. What type of friend are you? Turn on the notification bell for me so you can see more of these videos come through straight to your inbox when they come in. You can be the first to watch and you can implement it first. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna send you off with some love. So I hope you stop watching and start scaling. Peace.